arguably the best in the world. He just won the 1 versus 1
and you can see how much IG actually respects not only Alliance but Admiral Bulldog in particular with the Nature's Prophet band. Something we've seen him almost perfect now with the Blink Dagger. No one else has ever done that, so that was really interesting for me to see. And then of course they banned the Wisp as well because they want to avoid playing against this rat style of play that
exactly. Well, yeah, I don't know if they can avoid it, but they at least want to contain it, and that's kind of like you were saying, the global presence that comes with an IO, that comes with the Nature's Prophet. They're not wanting to have to deal with that. Lone Druid, at the very least, you can anticipate where he's going to be, and he's not going to be able to extricate himself quite as easily. But yeah, you know, that's just Alliance's calling card. You know, allow Bulldog to do what he's going to do. He's also phenomenal on the Lone Druid, in particular out in the off lane. He's just one of those guys that no matter how much you commit to trying to dive him or trying to pressure him, he just always seems to keep himself alive. And even if his farm is very low, he always kicks it into that next gear as soon as a laning phase begins to break down.
But he doesn't even have to play it on the off lane. He also plays probably the best farming Lone Druid on the safe lane. He sort of optimizes farm better than anyone I've ever seen. By hitting the jungle on top of just getting all the lane creeps. So he's really, really good at optimizing his farm on that. And you can see, it's curious to me with the Bat Rider ban. I'm a bit... That ban, I mean, it's good for initiating on Doom or Panda to make sure that neither of them gets their ultimate off.
Right.
But I don't think it was necessarily a pick that Alliance would pick up. But on Alliance side of things, their bans are clearly... Tron, of course, on both Enchantress and Rubik. Faith also plays the Rubik really well. We've seen how good the Ember Spirit is in the hands of ID. They're probably the most important hero for them during ESL 1 in Frankfurt 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And then of course the Lycanthrope that is so very popular these days. So very, very solid bans from Alliance.
Well, I think this is going to be a trend that we're going to see, not just today, but throughout the entirety of the International for many of these teams. There are so many teams that have picked up coaches and analysts that are doing all of this thinking. Not to say that the players themselves aren't capable of it, but it's a different matter whenever you can just focus on, okay, we've got a support staff behind us. They're going to bring a report to us that they've written down. Here are the heroes they play. This is their success rates. We'll leave it to you guys to figure out how to deal with it, how to draft around it or draft against it. But just having that information on call and not just based on previous stuff, that there are so many people working with so many teams here today and throughout the whole event that are monitoring these things in real time. So as IG, you know, even in cases like this, okay, now they've had most of their heroes, as you said, their favorites banned out. They're going to adapt just like anyone else.
The game has really been taken to the next level, and
really
pick states is so very important. We saw yesterday probably one of the best cases of how picks just lose you the game before it even began.
Yes.
With CIS having questionable strategies going up against Quit, of course. And you can just see how much the picks matter, and that's where coaches come in. They can't actually be with the teams while they're playing, but they can prepare them strategy-wise and note down everything and see the things that the team might not see themselves when they're in the actual game.
Right.
I'm curious to see this Venomancer pick up, if it's going to be played as an all-out support, or as we've seen trending lately, where you put it on the off lane, it gets that Aghanim Scepter. It doesn't actually skill Venom Scale, and if it does only one level, but otherwise you just max up those wards with the passive.
Right. One of those heroes, like you said, the trend as of late has been that he's a little bit more versatile than just stick him on a 4 or 5. You can stick him in the off lane occasionally. You'll see some teams, Na'Vi, for example, has been experimenting with running him as a farmer for the first, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, then just begin to roam around and use the hero's power in those early levels, in those early minutes of any game. The draft continuing to move its way through. We can see IG has tacked on a Razor pick now to go with the Brew and the Doom. Now let's talk a bit about the Brewmaster. This is a hero that, you know, leading up to, I would say, right around the qualifiers, like everyone knew after the Blink Dagger change, after he had been buffed consistently, that he was going to make a comeback, and he has. But the jury kind of still seems to be out in general as to what the best way to utilize him is. The one thing that I think we can all say is that Brew tends to be a hero who either gives you a lot or gives you very little. He has to, not necessarily snowball, it's not as if he has to rack up 10 kills in the first 20 minutes or anything ridiculous like that, but an impact, his ability to shape the map and pressure the opponents off the strength of a level 6 split is so important to his development throughout the entirety of the game.
He's definitely one of the most popular picks and has been for the past month or two. And IG's lineup is so very tanky already. You have the Doombringer, one of the biggest strength heroes in the game. You have the Pandaren Brewmaster, who's then not only is he a strength hero, but he also splits in, like he has that escape mechanism, or rather...
5 seconds remaining.
That's his,
it's a reset button, basically.
Exactly. And then there's the Razor with the unstable current, where you just can't really be targeted by spells. The items that you build into are naturally tanky, being the mechanism and the Aghanim Scepter. So IG is already really tanky. Alliance, however, is when they picked up the Earthshaker, I was thinking they're gonna go for the late game, right?
Right.
But now looking at their picks, they have the Lone Druid, they have the Venomancer, and now they picked up the Jakiro. And these three heroes have that in common, that they're really good at pushing down towers. There's the Liquid Fire on Jakiro, Venomancer of course with the wards, and then Lone Druid with the Bear, who's arguably one of the best tower pushing abilities in the game. So maybe Alliance actually just picked the Earthshaker, not only because IG likes to play it, but also because they don't want to play up against it. Because this way they can just slow siege the outer towers and eventually the base by sitting back, hitting it with the Liquid Fire, the Bear, putting up the Winter Wards, and then just having Fissure to sort of reset the fight or prevent IG from engaging on them.
I completely agree with you. The Jakiro pick kind of solidifies that, because Jakiro functions the same way as well. Not only does he push well because of the Liquid Fire, but having Ice Path. You know, if you hit a Fissure and you catch 3 heroes, Jakiro's almost guaranteed to hit a 3-hero Ice Path to follow it. So their ability to sit back, like you said, to be patient, to slowly push towers, and to force a mass reaction out of IG is going to be tremendous in the fact that when IG does try to re-engage, Brewmaster certainly helps shore that up, but even he's going to have a hard time coming through that much. IG, though, does get a little bit of a tool for that as well. Picking up the Alchemist, the Acid Spray, and excellent anti-siege.
The question is, are they even going to max up the Acid Spray? They probably are, right? So they're not going to scale the Grievous Greed. Doesn't care. It's going to be a support Alchemist.
Yep.
Another very tanky hero at that. And then he's just going to max up his Unstable Concoction that, of course, will stun out the enemy, and then the Acid Spray that is one of the best spells against pushing in the game because of that minus armor on top of the damage that comes out from it. It's just an area that you can't really push in. It's a, you know... My book.
Yep.
So interesting pick. I hadn't expected the Alchemist to come out. What Alliance is lacking right now, or rather the weak spot in their strategy, is the fact that they don't really have that shutdown on Doom and Brewmaster that they...
Tinker!
So interesting to pick up, and I think that's very solid. Tinker's probably one of the best heroes right now with the Dagon into Ethereal Blade build that everyone seems to be going for. It has a lot of burst damage, and what Alliance really needs right now is the ability to take down these super tanky heroes from IG.
Well, it comes back around to what we were talking about. Obviously, unless they pull something totally wacky, it's not going to be Bulldog on anything but the Lone Druid, but Tinker does give you global presence. It gives you mobility, and then more importantly, it gives you the ability to pressure multiple places. If you send 4 to pressure a tower and force a big reaction out of IG, because IG has a lineup that really functions best, at least so far, when they're all together.
Exactly, and if there's one thing we... You're not in
exactly. So the Tinker helps for IG to try to engage out of a tower, just because, okay, if you do so, yes, you got Acid Spray, that's nice, but a Tinker that gets a good start, maxes out his March of the Machines very early on, is very difficult to try to engage into. So, our lineups are set. I'm AC and that's Melk. We're going to be jumping in just a moment into the Dota Zone. Castle will be right back to the coverage of a game here from our stream room. Again, IG taking on Alliance.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds. 5 seconds remaining. Prepare for battle.
Welcome in, IG taking on Alliance to lead things off here today. So I understand it. Hopefully we've been joined by the Dota Zone cast, and hopefully you guys are all settled in. We have a long day ahead of us, but damn if it's not going to be good. Hell of a lot of Dota as we get our playoffs underway here in the preliminary stage of the International 2014. I'm AC and that's Melk. We just saw the draft play itself out, and yeah, this is it's quintessential Alliance in terms of how they drafted it, even though the heroes aren't exactly the ones they're the most famous for. S4 on the Tinker, for example, running that mid. We saw S4, as a matter of fact, win our 1 versus 1 championship here at the International just yesterday. Bulldog, though, he's certainly on his marquee hero on the Lone Druid.
And I really like the way Alliance is going to lane this. They're going to put the Earthshaker bottom lane with Bulldog on the Lone Druid, and then just have Loader farm his Venomancer up on the top lane with Arky coming with the support from Jakiro. They know they're up against the Doombringer on the off lane played by YYF, so they'll have no issue zoning him out, and they don't need the Earthshaker there. And the Earthshaker can just sort of prevent IG from initiating on them. As long as he stays out of the slot duration, once they want to go on Bulldog, he can just...
The battle begins.
Them off the Fissure. So great laning option so far from Alliance. Tinker's then going to go up against the Panda on the mid lane, so Tinker's also going to have a fairly easy time. You're never under pressure, you just go out of the clap range, of course.
A very quick D-ward, as that's spotted out by Ake. He's also going to get his eye on the double damage that he'll go ahead and snag up in the meantime. Like you said, down in this bottom lane, it'll be Bulldog, helped out by EGM. EGM throws out the fissure and trying his best to block the creeps just to help the creep equilibrium very, very early on. Jai going to be down here on bottom on the Razors so far. He's going to be helped out by Faith, who's going to be on our Mirana. And then we've got two heroes hanging out for the moment. Going to be Chuan on that support Alchemist, who was going to be support as soon as we saw it drafted, and Ferrari 430 on our Brew, up against S4, who's on the Tinker right now. So taking a look at the way that the early laning phase is shaping up. Oh, yes. Oh, by the way, YYF here in the top lane as well. But taking a look at the way this is shaping up so far, Milk, break down how you think this is going to look as we look ahead through the next few minutes or so.
There's going to be a lot of playing around the middle lane, I think. Tron and Faith realizes that with their support duo, they can't really go on the bottom lane route as long as EGM is standing there with his Earthshaker. And the bottom lane on the Razor is just going to take all the damage out from the Spirit Bear, so he can prevent Admiral Bulldog from farming.
YYF cleaned up under his own tower. And it looks like, yeah, Jakiro able to secure the kill there. He had a point into Liquid Fire as he was level 2. So first blood drawn in mid. S4's now in trouble. And IG pouring it on. Trying to, knot it up, make it 1-to-1. As Chuan, who had hung around, now level 2. There's a fissure there that comes out from EGM. Ferrari very low, but no follow-up that time around. Here comes S4 back on the Tinker. So Ferrari going to have to go ahead and pull on back. Make it 1-to-1 very early on.
And I think IG is going to be okay with that happening. Obviously, it's not optimal that their offlaner is giving up first blood early on. It is really, really hard for him to run away from a Twin-Headed Dragon and a Venomancer. And I believe Ark still had the double damage, or it might have been taken out when they got the kill up.
Yep.
But getting that kill up on where he kills off S4 on the Tinker is going to help him a lot. He's going to have his bottle being sent out to him now, and he's even going to have 1 level advantage on S4. So great play there. I'm actually surprised to see how fast EGM reacted to that and was in the middle lane.
Faith moving through. Chuan found himself a haste rune. They're going to go ahead and bypass middle lane for the moment. Faith a little slower. Nope, never mind. Not going to bypass. They're going to loop around. Let's see if Chuan wants to go for the dive behind. And he's going to have a chance to, as S4 is shoved a bit far back. He's got 1 point into Acid Spray and 1 into Unstable Concoction. Ferrari has Faith right down in the river below him. And here we go. There's the Unstable Concoction on the S4. Acid Sprays there. Arrow, though, does end up missing. And here comes EGM to try and help things out. Chuan all of a sudden is going to be hit with a fissure, but S4's on the wrong side of it. Tower damage, doing nice damage to Chuan, and he should end up cleaned up and will, as EGM in the right place at the right time has been hanging around mid to try to respond, and that time sniffed out what was going on. Make it 2-to-1 now. Alliance's advantage.
Here's your arrow by Faith coming out there.
Yep.
He needed to wait for the Unstable Concoction to actually land on the target. It's very problematic with a level 1 concoction because that doesn't actually last that long, and that would have been a full range arrow. So he needed to predict where it would hit the Tinker, and he was just a teeny bit off the mark.
Yep. He's now settling down at least a little bit. Chuan just a little over level 2 at this point, so we'll see how active he's going to be. Down at bottom, we can see Faith now hanging back out with Jai as he is level 4.5. Taking a look at the CS board, we can see it is our Razor leading with 19 CS and 7 denies thus far. Up at top, Loda has been left completely alone. He's sitting at 16 and 4 for himself. And that's going to be the question for me is when and how are they going to transition Loda out of this top lane? I've seen farming Venomancers more than a few times before, and it seems like the most effective way to play them is to farm hard for a few minutes, but then go ahead and start trying to do a lot with that farm instead of trying to really treat him like a true carry.
I don't think he's actually going to revert out of that top lane. He's just going to keep on being up there and then just farming and pushing down the tower. He may even go for a Midas, like it's Loda of all people, so we know how much he loves his Midas. I don't think it's a bad item pickup either, but then going in for that Aghanim Scepter so that his Poison Nova later on deals so much damage that it's almost impossible for IG to take a long fight. And if they bind that up with a Radiance and of course a Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker and then Tinker's ability to keep on re-engaging into the fight, the Alliance could easily come out of top on this, despite how tanky the lineup of ID is.
Beginning to see a lot of movement now, as we see 2 heading now up to top. That top tier 1 down, not quite to half health. There's a couple from each side here in mid as well. EGM showing his face to help out S4. And yeah, they're going to come. There's going to be a Gale and a YYF. He has forced to use Scorched Earth. Chuan's going to show his face as well. Tower down to about 1/5 health. trying to use the acid spray to force them back. But the push power of this Venom and this Shapiro is just so high. All those wards and one last call. No, Doom actually manages to get the deny despite all of the wards attacking as well as the heroes. So well played there. Nonetheless, the tower does drop.
But that is such a big deal early on. You just
really
actually lost 500 gold just because you couldn't manage to get that last hit off. And Doom, while he does have a high damage output for his last hit, Alliance had, what, 5 Venom wards and 2 heroes hitting it with liquid fire burning on it, so they're definitely not okay with that happening. Continue,
S4 caught by an arrow here in mid. Ferrari's going to follow up and going to go ahead and use the split. They want this kill badly, and they're going to get it very easily. EGM threw out the fissure, but Marana able to leap to safety before it connected. Don't know there would have been much that would have followed it up to begin with, but nonetheless, being able to bring down a Tinker at this level, very important. And did he have something on the courier? Yeah, just his bottle, actually. So S4 in mid at 24 CS, doing all right, but brought down by IG.
Bottle on the courier?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's actually not that far behind. Panda's sitting on 1200 gold now, but this is going to mean that Ferrari's going to have a fairly easy time building up that Blink Dagger. And again, Alliance's lineup, they don't really have anything to shut the Panda down with, so we can probably expect to see Ferrari play a very, very integral part in the mid game here. Getting out on an early Blink Dagger will be, I think he'll have it at around 8 or 9 minutes.
Right.
And from then, the top lane needs to be really, really careful. They can no longer push as high up as they do right now. We can see the rotation coming out from IG and the smoke now. Tron's gonna hit on Arcade. Hey, there goes Loda actually.
Yep, Loda. Focus fired, arrow to follow the unstable concoction. They're able to bring him back. Don't even try to engage on Ake, instead just wanting to shut Loda down. So good rotation there. They take the kill lead back. That's going to make it 3-2. And following that brief engagement, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's about even in gold. I was going to say it feels like a very close game. In fact, the experience is a little bit, as of right now, in favor of IG. Let's talk a little bit about Bulldog while we have a minute. As we can see, sitting at 16 CS, that's really not all that bad, given how unfavorable this matchup against the Razor is.
It's very hard for him to do anything just because of how good Static Link is and the fact that he's in constant danger of being ganged out by the Alchemist and the Priestess of the Moon. They haven't actually been down there, but whenever they're missing on the map, he needs to be super careful. And then, of course, Static Link taking away the damage from his Spirit Bear, so it's effectively useless. It's just a piece of meat that can't really hit for any damage.
Right.
So Sai will have an easy time on the bottom lane. He's going to build that mechanism, and it seems to me that Loda is also going to build into the mechanism. He bought a Ring of Regen, and so they're going to continue pushing. And so once he gets that item up and going, the downside of the Venomancer is what we just saw, how far up he needs to be in the map, and sort of acting as the sacrificial lamb, the kind of the attention whore, if you will.
Yep.
Where he's very easy to gank up because he doesn't have any natural escape, and he's not even going to skill his poison over right now. He's just going to
Bulldog in trouble at bottom. Ooh, barely. It looks like I thought he was going to think about diving with the phase boots. He probably could have caught him, but worrying about dying himself. EGM spotted by Ferrari. Sorry about that.
No problem. So the problem with diving him is that the Spirit Bear, while it still doesn't have any damage, it can still entangle him under the tower, and he would have died. He sat on 300 HP, so if that happened... On the middle lane, chasing down EGM, he has a haste on him.
Yep, trying to find something.
Primal Split is ready for him as well, so they could actually engage under the tier 2 tower.
It's just so risky, and that's one of the awesome things about the Earthshaker pick is he is getting caught with a fissure out of position is just crippled by so much time, especially that V, where the reaction is going to come quick if they're able to get a decent stun off. Up at top, we can see playing out exactly as you anticipated. So Ake and Loda just kind of playing this as a slow push, using the fire, using the wards. 1 point into Gale, as you had anticipated as well. And yeah, the headdress is now on the way out for Loda.
And it's great play for so many reasons. They're creating a lot of space around the map, so they are allowing the Tinker and the Lone Druid to try and have some farm. It's of course very hard, as we already said on the bottom lane, for Bulldog to get any farm up and going. He does have those Tranquil Boots and 1200 gold on him, so he's not doing all too bad. And his bear has gotten level 7. He can actually start to punish Sai if he goes up too far.
We actually saw that. He got a couple of roots off, got him down kind of low at one point. YYF and Faith, as you mentioned, now drawn over to that top lane. And they have just slowly whittled this tier 2 down to about a quarter health, actually a little bit less. In the meantime, though, Ferrari has finished his Blink Dagger, so his offensive potential going to be huge. We're now coming up 10 minutes in to this game, and hang on, Chuan might make a run at Bulldog. He's going to a double concoction launch. He tried to use the true form metamorphosis and avoid the damage, nonetheless unable to dive him. So forcing him back, but once again, Bulldog makes it away.
The Doombringer on the top lane has actually finished his Midas now, so his farm is really, really going to pick up. He hasn't maxed Devour, he's maxing the Scorched Earth instead, but he still has the best ability to farm in the game right now. So this Doom can have a huge impact on the game in just 10 minutes time. Sorry, finishing off his Blink Dagger, he's gonna go looking for kill now, and that's where it gets really, really problematic for Alliance, especially on the top lane. They can't afford to be too far up, and they can't even afford to stay in their jungle for too long. You can see they don't have any wards out, so they don't actually know if IG is roaming into their jungle right now. They are in a smoke, so they wouldn't have seen regardless. Oh, nice.
Yep, there's the clap, the arrow to follow. Not even gonna have to spin the split, and no reaction coming. One last auto attack. Enough to make it 4-2. So IG getting active as we would have anticipated. So yeah, I was going to say, 10 minutes in, which team do you think has done the most work here in this laning phase, and which do you think is in the best position compositionally, looking ahead to the next 10 to 15 minutes?
I think IG's definitely ahead, and they should be with the picks they have. But I think Alliance also did a fairly well done job on keeping them at bay for the most part. It is a very offensive, aggressive lineup from IG when they have the Alchemist and the Princess of Moon roaming around.
And Mirana now setting up shop here in mid-spotted, of course, by Loda's ward. And we are beginning to see both teams put a little bit more emphasis on this mid lane. Faith is used, Moonlight Shadow, trying to create a situation. No, never mind. I was going to say maybe he's trying to find a way to take a fight there, but looks like Seven is trying to go ahead and back off. YYF, as you said, with that Midas done, and you see this so many times. You know, once a Doom between Devour and Midas, once he gets the Midas up, explodes, and he can become this unbelievable liability that you have to focus on. Now we're going to have Ferrari go ahead and use split, going to try to catch EGM, and no, the rock was late. So after the split, he's actually going to go ahead and toss the bear into the air.
Line's going to be very happy with this. This allows them to have at least 2 or 3 minutes where they don't have to fear as much of getting pushed, and Loda can just take up a lot of attention on the middle lane. However, what Alliance wanted to do to IG is exactly what IG is doing to them right now. They're forcing Alliance to huddle up and stick together instead of getting farm, and that allows Sai on the Razor to just farm freely on the bottom lane, and more importantly, YYF on the top lane, having uncontested farm for the past 3 minutes. So he's been pushing down several creep waves, and he's now even hitting on the dire side tower.
See, forcing the reaction out of S4. S4's bots should be up soon. He was making good work of stack camps in the jungle while they had time, and now Alliance looks like they're ready to go ahead and begin clearing other tier 1s.
It's a really cheeky play from YYF. He has that Dark Warlord, and he raised the dead, meaning he has 2 small skeletons in which he's then dragged the creep wave away from tower, being able to then single-handedly push down the tower with no out from Alliance.
Yep.
So great play by YYF.
Yep, well, it's like you said. I mean, right now there's just so much they have to worry about. Like this, another smoke now out of Ferrari and Faith. Brewmaster and Mirana, an excellent pair to try to gank and move around the map like this, especially at this level. Was a big win for Alliance, as you had said, but last split really not accomplishing much. Ferrari is really going to want to get a lot out of this one. He's going to run right up on S4. S4 has no mana, and the arrow's actually off, but it doesn't matter. And no reaction is even going to come from that. So that's another big death on S4. Now, Jai could be in trouble. There's going to be a fissure to lead off, and Ake right there with him. Ice path, shot, and hits. Let's see if they can get the root. Yep, there it is. The entangle locks him down. They can't get too close because of the ultimate, but they're not going to need to, as the bear should be able to finish him off, and does. So a pair of big kills, 1 for each side, make it 5-3, and the action coming hot and heavy now.
And I think Sai is going to be really, really unhappy with himself in using that plasma field, because that meant that he didn't have the mana to put off Mechanism. If he had mana for Mechanism, he would have escaped that easily.
They've done now on the Tinker.
Yeah, so the kill on S4 wasn't the biggest issue. He's just banked his boots of travel before he died.
Yep.
But you can see how little of an impact he's had so far. On the contrary, he's actually been helping IG in terms of him. He died 3 times. He hasn't done anything to help in any kills or anything. So, standing close to Bulldog, he cannot kill him on his own though, just because of how strong True Form is and how much HP you get from that.
Yep.
Play this up so
Think about it, gonna go for it. A little bit of payback. The True Form strong, but not that strong, as Jai and Ferrari able to bring down Bulldog finally. And Alliance now using that slow push potential out of Jakiro and Venomous to apply some pressure here to this mid tower. IG, as you said, looking pretty good in the first 15 minutes, but I think basically the longest game goes because of the power of a farm tinker and, of course, the lone druid. So long as they can keep them up and standing, I think Alliance's lineup is only going to get stronger from this point out, whereas it's going to be IG who's going to be under a bit of pressure to get a lot done with the Brewmaster every time he comes to fight. And speaking of, they are converging on mid now.
Alliance now finally have those items where they can actually put pressure on IG and allow Bulwark to have space to farm. They got the BOT on Tinker, so he can keep on TPing in and out of the fight and putting pressure on the towers. Loda has though Arcane Boots with the mechanism. The thing is, IG initiates with the Brewmaster. They're just gonna focus out Loda, and if Loda goes down, Alliance has to go back basically. They lose the fight. Because Loda's the only one who has any kind of farm on them.
We saw Bulldog spotted there by Ferrari and Faith. Unwilling to engage into the dark and certainly not uphill onto that side. So they're just going to go ahead and give the end around. They're going to try to catch someone, but they may run into a lot of Alliance. Goes down the bottom. Looks like S4 wants to get in trouble. He's going to be one TP on top. He's sitting on 1900 gold. So close to that Link Dagger. A little further away now. Not the biggest loss in the world, just sets him back a couple of gold, but still unpleasant. And S4 comes right back in and engaging on the Jai. He's able to force the mechanism out and the Moonlight Shadow. Load in the meantime in mid, they're unable to catch up with him. Looks like Bulldog next to be engaged upon by Faith and Ferrari. And there's the blink to clap, and the split arrow is going to be on the market. Bulldog going to take another spill. That's twice they've managed to bring him down in a relatively short window of time. And they even managed to catch Loda in mid. Let's see how much they want to commit to this. No, they actually going to chase him? Surely not. Yeah, here comes EGM. They got to get the Earth Hand out of the way.
Yeah, he's going to have to blink out.
Yeah, yep, he does manage to make it away. And the Ice Path catches Faith from behind. Faith has just enough mana for Elite, does have Arc Boots if he needs to use them, and will. And they're to lead back. In the meantime, though, as all of this is going on, YYF finds himself another tower kill.
Yeah, and the pair of Ferrari and Faith right now are creating so much space for IG, it's ridiculous. YYF has just been running around farming up. He has those Drums of Endurance to follow up with the Head of Midas. He has an overclock, and he's sitting on 1500 gold on top of that. So he's getting a lot of space. He's gotten 2 tower kills now as well. So what Alliance intended to do with this lineup is simply not working for them right now. Bulldog is still stuck at 2000 gold. I think EGM finally gets a kill on...
I was watching it. He actually pursued him forever, and Marana unable to just stop with him behind. S4 was there with him in the vicinity, but really he just held on to his fissure. He faked it, forced out the lead, and then fissured into the woods and got the kills.
So that's actually a pretty fast blink dagger on a support Earthshaker. We're 17 minutes in, so that can play.
Well, he was pretty under level too.
The Alliance turning this around. Yep. We do see Ferrari. The Brewmaster, he's very close to his Garden Scepter. He's sitting on the point booster. He has 2000 gold, so he just needs another 1000 gold.
It's picked up on the Alchemist, by the way. So it looks like Chuan is going to be trying to kick in a little bit of farm of his own. We'll see how he wants to build out from here, but that's that's obviously an anticipation of Alliance playing the style we know they love, which is taking in late and trying to keep it. And now all of a sudden they have another carry-off.
You can see how much Acid Spray actually does. He doesn't even have to be in range of the creeps. He can still get the last hits on them, and just prevents Alliance from farming, or not farming, pushing.
Now they're leading the way. We could have a major 5-man engagement if they decide to go ahead and bring it out for the moment.
EGM is coming down. I'm not sure. IG may anticipate the blink back on him, but if they don't, that edge slam is going to be huge.
S4 is actually going to have to go ahead and back out as his mana was low. Here comes Ferrari from behind. He's going to blink, and he got a 3-man clap and the split to follow. Next going to be used. They're going to be able to catch one. There's the arrow that connects Bulldog as well. And forward. Back into the fight, and the Ice Path right back out. Tries to turn this around in Alliance. Looked like they were in trouble, but taking a fight under their own tower. EGM able to make it away. It's 2-0 so far. The Doom onto Loda feels irrelevant. They will be able to... No, can't get the Earth Panda before he drops, but they do manage to clean up yet another. So 3-0 exchange that time. Going the way for Alliance. Ferrari had a great engagement.
EGM, and you could
man.
You could see Chuan singling out. He was like, he minimap signaled that, wait, he was standing in the secret shop. The Earthshaker was standing in the secret shop. He didn't know what happened.
Yep.
From Alliance, you can see how their lineup counter-interacts with the way IG wants to play. They have these tanky heroes that needs to go in and initiate, but they have to run through March. They have to run through all the Venomancer wards. It's so hard for them to actually catch up to them. And Alliance had those sentry wards down in place. So even though Ferrari got the best possible initiate with the Brewmaster, the follow-up from IG, they had all had half health before they even got to them. And EGM hitting a huge Echo Slam, following up by a Fissure.
Ferrari, by the way, in mid, gave a chase to S4, almost got the kill, then almost died himself. But for now, things settling out just a little bit. And that was a big coup for Alliance, as you had said. You can see, IG was actually on the way to spiraling out of control. They were damn near 10,000 gold ahead as we just now hit the 20-minute mark. The experience is right there with it. And that actually took a big chunk out of that, cut it down by about 1/3. So IG still in the lead and still handily in control of the game and able to set the pace. But Alliance certainly keeping themselves in. As you can see, Roche and now
sitting on 3,500 gold now. EGM, of course, having the blink dagger and his arcane boots on the Earthshaker, so he basically has everything he needs. And most importantly, S4's got the blink dagger up on his Tinker, and he'll be building into his Dagger now as well. So Alliance is sort of gaining the items they need to pull out ahead of IG. And IG really needs to win a big team fight now. Even contesting Roshan would be great for them. And I think they realized that Roche is being taken.
They were all hanging out. Looked like they were thinking about maybe taking a dive at S4 into the tier 2 or maybe coming out to push. Instead, they spread back out now. And if they don't, they have to suspect it's going on. I'm a little surprised. The fight split is up, so it only makes sense that they really don't know that it's happening. And at this point, it's been so long since they've seen anyone from Alliance. They have to do something.
Another gold off is that thing, and I'm not even sure that item is gonna do too much for him. Of course, it's gonna, like, Earthshaker's not gonna pose any threat to him. But the real issue is that he still has to run through the Venomancer wards, the Spirit Bear, and of course, most importantly, the March of the Machines. So he's gonna take so much damage before he even gets to a target.
Picks up the agency, and that's honestly a little surprising. I would have thought it probably would have gone on to either S4.
It's actually a good idea because he can run in, be the sacrificial lamb, and get back up. He gets the poison nova off, and then he's back up to fight. That makes a ton of sense.
I completely agree with you. You can see they are going to go ahead and react at the top now and keep this tower standing. And IG feels like they feel a little winded right now. I feel, after that last fight, they were kind of playing with a lot of confidence across the map. Yeah. Now I'm not feeling that at all. They feel like they had the wind knocked out of them. And Bulldog getting very close. Nope, the relic's out. I was going to say getting very close to his relic, but he actually completed it. How do you think, do you like the Radiance pickup given IG has so many tank heroes? Or do you think, I don't know, like whenever it comes to the way he's building out, Radiance is always going to be good on a lone druid, especially one with a push lineup behind him like this. But it is not going to be quite as effective against heroes that are this tanky.
It just synergizes extremely well with what their game plan is. The fact that they just to lose all of their HP before they even fight them. So the Radiance in combination with the Venomancer is just an extremely potent combo.
IG, once again, kind of taking their foot off the gas for a little while.
I'm talking about the Aegis of Immortal on the Venomancer again. A lot of people may think that it'd be better to put it on a hero like S4 with the Tinker, but the thing is, if he goes down, he'll most likely go down a second time as well, and it wouldn't be in a team fight, he would simply be caught out.
Yeah.
So S4 dying means that he'll lose the Aegis and dying yet again. With Loda, he'll only die in team fight because they won't use him in any position where he'll be caught out.
Teams kind of avoiding each other right now. We did see Alliance did attack their own, or deny their own tier 1 down at bottom. IG is kind of set up shop here in the jungle of Alliance, and it looks like Alliance is aware of it. Ferrari and Faith have done almost nothing but roam as this pair for a while, and now we're going to see Faith actually get spotted by Loda's River. They are very slowly sieging down this top tier 2 using nothing but creeps. They're really barely showing themselves at all. Chuan, now with this low, is going to go ahead and charge on in and look to clean it up with his
Ferrari does have his gun in second now, so I'd love to know what they're thinking right now. Are they ahead? Are they behind? What do they need to do? What's their game plan? Because it seems to me they don't really know. They just have YYF and Side is getting... Oh, he's actually building into a Black King bar as well, so they really just want to make sure that Breaker at least can't shut them down. The thing is, Spirit Breaker, or not Spirit Breaker, but the Spirit Bear is still, as I was saying, a threat to them. Of course, March of the Machines, the Venomancer wards. So, again, Black King bar is almost always a great item choice, but would a Gundam set on the race be a better choice in this matchup? And I think it would.
EGM ends up dying atop as Faith is there with the kill. S4 going to be able to teleport away. We just saw, by the way, that the Radiance has been completed on Admiral Bulldog and is now on the Bears. So Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, it seems like IG is really just not feeling confident after that last fight at bottom.
I think that the game plan is simple. Tron, he brought up a Gen of True Side now being carried by Fate, so they want to gain the map control and make sure that Alliance can't really push out the waves.
Right.
They force Alliance into playing on their own half of the map. Doesn't really seem as if Alliance cares though, as they push down the middle lane.
Yeah, they're going to go and try to bring down the tier 1. Going up the high ground, YYF there. He's going to go ahead and BKB and Doom on loaded. There's a soft claw base right there above him. There's going to be an ice path to carry the side from the bottom though. S4 doing what he can, but now here comes Ferrari. Does not have to on ready. S4 does end up dropping now. Octane's trapped in. No, never mind. Thought the creeps are going to block him in. Instead, EGM taking a lot of damage from the BKB to Razor. That's going to be a 1-0. They almost got Faith behind the fight. It looks like IG not wanting to hang around and wait to see how the rest of it's going to play out. EGM goes for Fisher uphill, catches 2, and the ice path is right there as well. Dual Breath going to slow them both down, but Alliance taking their time and not wanting to charge uphill blindly. So even though they did have a nice catch out of 2 there, unable to capitalize on it. All things considered though, they only lost S4 and they did manage to get the tier 1 mid.
They did lose the Aegis off the floater as well though, and it was a great fight coming out from IG. They just engaged from 3 different angles and took down targets everywhere, and the Spirit Break had no damage on him because of the static lane. So Admiral didn't really do anything other than run around with the Radiance, and of course they killed Loda and then they just ran on through Alliance lineup and picked off S4 on the single.
We can see the Brewmaster is set up over in the woods. He's going to have his split up in just a moment. Alliance together quite a bit. Tier 2 and mid down to about half health. Let's see if IG wants to fight this. Ulti is now up on later damage. Oh, all the way up, here it is. Clap with the split to lead things off. Octane's going to end up dropping, but that's going to come off. Bulldog, Megalith, and he's going to take it still. Sai there, trying to use his static link to side the damage. Load actually whiffs on the Gale. So Zai not so slowed down at all, except for the poison touch. Does get off the poison Nova, but in the meantime, he's cornered out and Fate probably peck away on him as Ferrari even gets in the mix. That's going to be 4-0 that time. So IG able to take advantage of Alliance, and that just goes to show you just how integral to everything IG's trying to do is the split. The fact that it was off cooldown
initiated by both YYF and Ferrari especially, but also YYF got that BK running and being a huge threat, and then the way he plays with Warpstorm, similar Centaur, and he just blinks in on targets and stuns them.
Yep.
He got off 2 kills in this fight, I think.
He is sitting currently at 1 and 2, so.
Oh, okay.
So that was probably his first if he got that. 6-0 and 6-2, by the way, on Faith and Ferrari. So that's a collective 12-2 for this tandem that has been roaming the map and really just been wrecking havoc every time they manage to spot anyone out. And the support play from Alliance, even though, I mean, we saw just how effective it can be whenever you have the Shaker and the Jakiro hitting everything as they're lined up. Speaking of, looks like Jakiro picking up his Hell of Iron will be on the way to avail of Discord. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, right now, that's kind of crippling for Alliance. This is... they get the Radiance up, and usually when you get the Radiance up is when you just want to be feeling like a gigantic threat. Instead, those BKBs are really paying dividends for IG, as when they're popped, they just feel almost invulnerable. And there's going to be another one out very soon on the Alchemist, too.
Yeah, and that's really what I like about IG's line. They have a support hero that can transition so very well into a carry as well. You can see he almost max Squeeble Screed. He has that Hand of Midas for a long time now. So he's going to be able to pick up a lot of farm and actually be a threat later on as well, whereas his counterpart, which would be Archeon, the Twin-Headed Dragon, is not really going to do nearly as much at any point in time in this game. So IG is definitely favored right now, but on the other hand, Alliance, they're not really in a hurry. They can keep on playing this kind of push style and just make sure that they get some sort of IG suppression. And they're trying to pick off YYF.
Very quick BKB. And Alliance not wanting to engage the rest of the time. That's enough there. They do a beautiful shot with the finger and the ice path to follow up. It's going to just go ahead and BKB and teleport away. No! Gets hit by the entangle as Bulldog rushes in. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but sometimes it's better to be both as Bulldog gets the shot off and secures the kill. He's down for 50 seconds now, and the tier 2 bottom is likely to be the prize for that shot there.
Exactly what Alliance needs is a bit of luck. That entanglement falls on the Razor first hit entanglement.
First shot, man. It's the pro roots, dude. That's yeah. Those of us who are not professional players know the only time you root is if you jump the roots. But anyway, Down at bottom, tier 3, still under assault. It's going to be 20 seconds till the Razors back up. And they're going to go ahead and initiate out. There's an ice path to try and slow it down, but Bulldog's in a lot of trouble. Ends up dropping, as well as Loda, who was way too far forward. Ake now spotted uphill. He'll be tossed in the air. EGM does manage to make it away, but Ake now caught by YYF and the rest of the Pandas, as he is down 2. That's going to be 3-0. So Alliance, uncharacteristic, I would even say. Just hanging around a little bit too long, a little overconfident, because the Razor was down and punished pretty handily by IG that time. They did get the tier 2, so it's not as if...
And they dealt a significant amount of damage to the tier 3 tower as well, but again, just flawless initiation. Ferrari and Alliance really struggling under the fact that they have nothing to shut him down with. He wasn't in a hurry to get off his primary split. He could just blink in, clap, hit a few times, and then split. And his micro was perfect.
Oh yeah.
And then the follow-up from YYF, where he comes in again with the War Storm, keeps them all in place, and Loda and Admiral Bulldog both died instantly.
We can see S4, by the way, has picked up his Hex, so they will have some kind of an answer to the brew from here on out, if he's very quick with his fingers.
Yeah, and this item choice, we see the Dagon Ethereal Blade every game, but in this particular game, the Scythe of Vice is going to do so much more for Alliance. Not only are they so very tanky on IG that the Dagon sort of be that good and efficient anymore.
Yep.
And again, as we were saying earlier, Scythe of Vice, it provides that disable that they so desperately need. And because he can re-armor, they might be able to kill off the Panda later on. They can even take down the Doom before he can even get off to the Doom. So this is a very essential pickup for them, and they're gonna have to some of these pickoffs, kind of like they did on the Razor.
Yeah.
See Admiral Bulldog, he's going for a type of insight probably. He built a Hood of Defiance on his hero, and Doom was just used on him this fight, which is kind of a surprising target.
Yeah. They were able to bring him down in pretty short order, and they are doing quite a good job, as you said, of Chuan actually just going to BKB and run, as his BKB fairly freshly completed, but did not want to take any chances, didn't want to end up being brought down and caught out in the woods. But the item progression for both sides is going quite well. Doom, as we anticipated, has exploded in his overall net worth.
So YYF, when he initiates with the Blink Dagger into BKB, fires off the Shiva's Guard, War Storms and Doom's a target. So much damage and confusion and chaos coming out from one hero alone. Add to that the Panda, who's being played so very well by Ferrari. When the Primal Split goes off, it's going to be so hard. And look at this, he's going for a Refresher Orb, so he's Primal Split once he gets out, he's going to do it again.
Tossed out, YYF leading the way once again. He has Ferrari behind him, once again split, he's on the ready, like you said. Going for the Refresher. Already has up the Perseverance and his Oblivion Staff, and looking to be in good shape. Load in the meantime just continuing to farm away, and yeah, waiting to see what his next item pickup's going to be. I don't know that either team knows right now, by the way. Ake spent a lot of time just kind of dancing around the Roche pit, waiting to see, and then left, and it wasn't seconds after he walked out of the pit that Roche respawned. I don't think that anyone's been in there to check, but that's going to change now, as Bulldog and Ake get eyes on it and go right to work. And IG's in a bit of a tenuous situation in terms of being able to respond. It's going to be the pipe now done on Bulldog as well. However, Roche is going down slowly. There is a ward here from IG, and yeah, they have to know what's going on now.
Yeah, they will have everything ready. They're going in with the pieces of the Moon ultimate, and YYF leading the start.
There you go. Jumps right in. There's a few on the Bulldog, and he's bringing down fast. It's going to be an ice path and a Fissure, trying to slow down the advance of IG. Marking the machines and Macro Pyre deployed to make this a very volatile battlefield for IG. They're falling back and actually doing a fairly nice job of kiting this out. They lose Bulldog nonetheless, and now Jai up there with the mech, getting everyone healed up. Load is certainly going to die behind this. There's the rock thrown from Ferrari from behind, and in the meantime, it can catch S4. It's going to be so close. Comes back out. No, he's going to be hexed, as S4 now looking to go to work on him. Here comes Ake to try to help out. YYF there with the sheep in the yard. Ferrari is too tanky. Ake ends up being cornered out. It's a two-man ice path. Don't know that it's going to matter in the end, though. As, yeah, he's going to be 3 down now for Alliance, and IG lost no one. Here comes EGM, and he may end up just feeding himself here. Hit from behind, and Ferrari chases him uphill. That's a gem on the ground. They didn't even spot. They're more interested in making it a 5-man wipe. S4 wiped down 22-9 as the dust settles, and IG takes their biggest win of the game.
And I was wondering, where was EGM during all of this? That was he was sort of lagging with that fight. I don't know where. I saw he had half HP, so someone must have chased him off. That last initiate from him was terrible. Let's just call it as we see it.
He fed, man.
A terrible Echo Slam that did almost no damage. It had no purpose because he already had 3 allies dead.
And this is where it's what we talked about during the draft, and I'm sure the analyst desk talked about as well, is IG's lineup is just so damn tanky. At this stage of the game, Ethno Slam is not all that big of a deal. It's not something that is going to be all that feared, even though it is level 2. It is level 11. I actually didn't see he was 10 or 11 before that fight, so I might have been but anyway,
it's going to be followed up with the rest of the Alliance lineup. It needs to serve as the disabling factor. Not because of the damage output, but simply because you want to keep them in place while the rest of the Alliance lineup dishes out damage through March of the Machine, the Spirit Bear,
exactly.
The Poison's Nova.
I actually feel like for the most part, Alliance seemed to be doing a decent job of trying to kite IG out as they tried to rush up to that choke point. They threw the fissure, they threw the ice path, caught some time, and then there was march down and look at this. Yep, caught. No, actually does manage to make it away. Oh, EGM saving his buddy that time. Throwing the fissure from the high ground, and that's a wasted split.
Ferrari ain't even mad. He's got 9-second cooldown on it, and of course he has that refresher orb. So if they're ever in a position where they desperately need the ultimate, it doesn't matter that he just spent the cooldown. And that Alliance is on the receiving end of things. There's really no rush. He needs to actually initiate again, so he can just sit back and wait for the punch to be back up. It's not a long cooldown now that it's level 3. So they're doing fine, and you can see Faith is so funny to see for me. When you see a Mirana played in the support role, they always go for these weird item choices for an agility hero. It's not weird because he is in a supportive role.
Right.
But who only plays public games, I'm sure they can understand that seeing a Mirana running around with arcane boots and a force staff and then an ultimate orb, it's a bit peculiar.
Bit wonky.
Yeah. He's going for that sacrifice in runner. That's actually a really, really farming support, and this is what IG masters. This is what they're so good at.
Oh yeah.
Getting farm on all 5 of their heroes.
Yep. And speaking of that, I was just going to point out that Chuan is actually on the back of Greevil's Greed and that Midas more farm than Admiral Bulldog is right now. And he's going to have an Assault Cuirass done basically in just a minute or two. He's already got up the Plate Mail, he's already got up the Hyperstone, and as well as the Chainmail, so he does not need a whole lot more gold, about 1,000 give or take. Yeah, here so comes the damage though. Dagon 2 picked up now for S4.
Even though it seems as if Alliance is still hanging in there, you can just we haven't talked about how the net worth actually touched the tail of a very one-sided game now.
Yep.
Because of how far ahead he is in terms of gold.
Yep. Looks like we might have an engagement as they are trying to collapse. And we'll talk about the gold gap here in just a minute. There's going to be one stick of concoction thrown uphill. But you can just see, this is just brute force power. IG, despite having to deal with Martian machines, despite having to deal with Ravensburg, they're just forcing Alliance off of their foothold. Now they're going to come back up. There's a Hex on the YYF. The Bear dancing around. Look like you might want to try to take a shot. There's going to be the Mirana. Ulti Note splits there as well. Trying to chase down EGM and S4 up towards the dire side secret shot. S4 will be able to teleport away to safety. So Alliance makes it away relatively unscathed and forcing out a couple of ultimates. Now they might want to try to charge back out. Meching back up to see if they want to fight. IG might want to take a step back. They don't have great hits. They might actually be down the first. Oh, finally they're able to bring him down from S4. And now Loda caught, but Chuan using his BKB just had to run. Faith is right there, just below him. And this is what I was talking about. Probably that earlier. Now they're going to hex Chuan from behind. They're forcing that to use Fissure, Ice Path, and the lockdown so immense, and they're able to make it a 2-0 that time. So Alliance, even though they're bloodied, they're not dead yet, finding a little bit of life still left in this lineup, and able to buy themselves a few more minutes to try and farm up and catch up.
Yeah, and that turnaround was all on the back of Ferrari jumping in, wanting to reassert himself for the second time around with the Primal Split. He used his refresher orb and blinked in, clapped, and instantly, I don't even think he got the clap off, because instantly S4 was ready with the Scythe of Vice. And the funny thing is, or not funny, but the impressive thing is that Ferrari blinked in from Fog of War, so S4 was so fast on his buttons.
Yep. Oh yeah, you see him do that all the time. Yeah, like anytime he plays.
They're getting Anti on the bottom lane now. He still has that 80.
Oh, he's going to get, manages to get S4. And no, has the Aegis popped off of him anyway. So they march in the machines.
I think they'll be very happy with that.
Oh yeah,
I think,
he had like a minute left.
Faith was probably standing there thinking, what are you doing, Tinker? Why are you blinking in on me?
Right.
That with that support kill from Faith, he's actually so close to his Scythe of Vice. It's an extremely talented lineup of players.
Oh, yeah. Well, the top 3 in terms of overall net worth belong to IG. Now we see Ake is spotted as well. They're not going to be able to catch him in time to prevent the TP, so he won't make it away. But Alliance is definitely finding themselves in a very defensive position right now. They are.
You can see how much Bulldog is really struggling in this game. He's trying to get that Assault Cuirass up. He hasn't gotten any item progression since the Pipe inside. He does have a Hyperstone on his Spirit Bear, but no Plate Mail as of yet and no recipe for the Assault Cuirass.
Yep.
I think this game is going to go long enough for him to actually pick it up.
Well, the problem is, and this is what we were talking about, he has overtaken Chuan once again in terms of net worth, so he is catching up, and has surpassed the Alchemist again. But Chuan is going to continue to explode in terms of net worth as well.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to deal. He's going to be
Chuan actually has his Assault Cuirass. So in a sense, he's more for his team than Bulldog is for his, and that's... It's difficult to think the roles right, so...
Chuan runs right into a lot of Alliance. We just saw IG get a pick off onto Bulldog's Bear down in bottom lane too. And now trying to consolidate themselves a little bit. YYF.
Look at this, YYF also sitting under the pressure.
Yep, we're just going to point at it. It was literally pointing at the same thing.
BKB, Shiva's Guard, Doom, refresh and do it all over again.
Yep. Finally, that Veil of Discord is done for Ake, by the way.
He's been building on that for the past 20 minutes.
He really has. Yeah, he had that Helm of Iron Will a long time ago. He just hasn't been able to do a whole lot. Assault Cuirass done on Chuan. Razor taking up even more now, adding
It is impressive, though, how tenacious Alliance is and how they just are adamant about trying to stay in control of this game. They keep on pushing out lanes. They still play sort of aggressive, even though the fights have been happening under their towers or their half of the map. They're still not playing back. They're not sitting in their base. They're not turtling.
No.
They're trying to make things happen. Now we see a smoke gang coming out from... There's no one on the bottom lane, so they're not going to find anyone, but they may... out on the middle lane. The thing is there a gem on...
EGM has one.
EGM has a gem, okay. So even if the Mirana ulti is being used, they can still see it.
Yeah, gem on Faith as well. But we actually saw a little bit of trading of the gems earlier. G moving now into the Radiant side jungle, while Alliance continuing to try to find someone.
And Alliance knows something up. They just had a creep wave clear out of tier 2 tower on the top lane, while no one from IG actually responded. So they know they're somewhere in the jungle or around the middle lane, which IG was. So Alliance is going to stay on the bottom lane. They know they can TP in on the Spirit Bear or the creep wave.
Yep.
They have 3 heroes down there already. So anyone who's coming to defend bottom, they really, really need support from the IG side.
Tell you what's shocking is when you look at any metric. I mean, you look at the gold. The gold is 20,000 in favor of IG, 30,000 experience. The kill score, it tells you that story as well, as Alliance has doubled up 23 to 11. But the game actually still feels pretty close.
Yeah.
And that has so much to do with Alliance's ability to just kind of approach the game like you said.
Exactly,
just
and that's what I love about the way that Alliance strategizes. They always get lineups that are they're good for pushing. You can always revert into playing the trap kind of style where you split push constantly, and they always seem to have a fighting chance in these team fights as well, even though they're so far behind in terms of level and gold.
Yep.
You see Loda, he's playing their one position. He's sitting on level 15 Venomancer, and it's not exactly like he doesn't even have the gold to show it. He's on 4th position from the bottom of the net worth.
Right. It's kind of the only question I have is, how valuable do you think this Venomancer pick has been? I mean, not to say Lotus played poorly, just in terms of the impact he's been able to have, despite, I mean, his item progression was fine for the most part. He slowed down quite a bit, as you had mentioned.
You know, I want to say it's a game plan that would have worked 9 out of 10 times, but just because of how good IG is. I mean, we're talking about the winner of the 2nd International playing up against the winner of the 3rd International.
Exactly.
And IG is just probably one of the favorite teams. They're coming off a win at ESL 1 in Frankfurt, and probably one of the biggest contenders to the title this year again. So I just say that this is IG playing extremely well and not an Alliance or extremely well.
As IG using the Moonlight Shadow, we saw a couple heroes from Alliance pass over their ward here in mid. Tardy the party, got a bottom though, they're going to catch Shy. And M4, very low in terms of health, they need to clean him up quickly. There's an Echo Slam, and they locked down sufficient enough. S4 damn near died there. Nonetheless, however, another big pick off that time. Going away.
This is why it took so long. Because normally when a Spirit Bear as farmed as Admiral Bulldogs is, and a Tinker with a Hex and a Dagon 4 initiates, someone's going to go down real quick, and even then, die on the race and live for a long, long time. They need to use that every time. I think they were very scared. S4 actually dying in that. He was out of harm's way because of him running out.
Wow, they almost tracked down Bulldog. That I'm not sure what was on that. I'm gonna guess. Let me see. It's yeah, I was gonna say 1,300 gold. I was thinking the same thing. Wanted to double check it. So yeah, the Assault Cuirass gonna be delayed a couple of minutes. And at least Bulldog able to make it away, but still nice little pick.
I actually never saw that feature before.
Yep, yeah, yeah. We were talking about it with the BTS guys. They gotta love their career feature. Got to use that at the TI4 qualifier cast. Now finally makes it into the main update. So guys like the are they gonna catch? No, okay, caught and hexed. There's Sharon as well. The Bear's there. He's gonna get the stun off on the Bulldog. This is gonna turn into a big fight. YYM's there. They clean it up with a level death. Now the Bear left behind with the Ferrari. They're gonna chase him right into the Roach pit. Loda's been doomed right after he got off the poison dome. He's just gonna try to run. Bulldog trying to hang out in the back. There's the refresh doom on the Bulldog in the arrow. Catches Loda on the high ground. Bulldog next. S4 doing what he can from the high ground, but it just doesn't matter. Ferrari manages to track him down and uses the split, but now trapped inside the woods. EGM still hanging around the outside. It's a 3-0 exchange that time, as IG takes a big fight off of Ake being caught out a little bit in the woods right next to Roshan. This should be a free Aegis for IG.
So tanky. Oh, so tanky. I mean, YYF and Ferrari alone could probably face up against the entirety of the Alliance lineup and still come out ahead just because of those pressure orbs. It's basically like playing against 4 heroes.
Yep. IG bringing down Roche, but they won't be able to bring it down nonetheless. And yeah, like I'm still honestly we're 46 minutes in, and this has been a game that has been completely and utterly dominated.
And we're gonna start seeing people being picked up on the IP line, deal with the fact that their waves are being pushed out, because what they really excel at right now is engaging and team fighting, but their lane pushing is not as good. With how we know Alliance like to play, S4 and Bulldog can really cause havoc to their base while IG is trying to push out the waves.
Yep. Ahead now.
Tron almost has a heart though. He's sitting on that vitality booster. He has 3k gold. Faith, of course, having had his side of the vice for quite some time now, sitting on another 2100 gold.
And the cheese.
They're all so farmed.
Yeah.
BKB now up on Ferrari, so he's not even going to feel being side of vice before he goes into his primal split. Then he can always refresh it. They're so tanky. There's no way they're going to die.
I'll put it in perspective. This farmed hero on the side of IG. It's Face Mirana, and he has pretty much the equivalent amount of farm as the bottom two combined of Alliance. So, yeah, even on down the line.
He's actually caught up and equals that of Loda, the number one position of Alliance.
Yep. And that's kind of what I was talking about, again, with the Venomancer. You know, I've seen it run mid, seen it run in a one position. I've seen Alliance do it, seen Navi do it among the
I
others.
think the team that does it best is Fnatic. Being played by Trixie and just sitting on the offlane, always getting his farm regardless. I don't think it's worth it simply to put... Like, I think if Alliance had put this differently and just put the Venomance on the offlane and had him just stand down there with his wards and his passive skills, he would have found that eventually to get his levels. More importantly, Bulldog on the Lone Druid would have had, you know, 13, 14 minute radiance, and there was nothing that IG could have done against him.
Fear in your eye.
IG continuing to keep the pressure up. And this is going to be their best answer. Like you said, Boots of Travel going to be coming out on a lot of their heroes for sure. We see he's picked up his, for example. But if they can just keep Alliance bottled up, their lead is so huge, it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
And what is YYF even going to build now? He's going to build a sacrifice, he's going to go for some huge damage item because he's actually full inventory. He needs to sell his Hand of Might as a signal 4k gold. He might even go for a heart. There's already on the first one, so there's no need to go for that item.
Is now on. So the effect of the action edge to catch Jai. There's the force staff to get him back to safety, so he'll be able to heal up. And now Ferrari engaged with the BKB. We'll go ahead and split Schwab. BKB and running through as well. Doom onto S4. There's going to be the rock. They want to track him down. Okay, hits an ice pad though. And Loda tossed into the air. They're chasing them all the way back to the mountain. Can't outdive him quite at this moment. But S4, they really want to try to get this kill in the meantime. Zai could end up dying. He's leeching damage from the bear. Ends up having the Aegis popped off. They've lost 2 now, as they end up losing Ferrari and a bit of over aggressiveness, and they're going to lose Razor as well. So diving way too deep now.
Dude, this was just, and the Murano, this is just overextension.
What were they thinking?
So
there was no reason for it.
You could just see them chasing down the Tinker and running all the way up to Fountain. YYF on a mission, just simply wanting to kill this boy. Didn't care about anything. But they ran through towers, they ran through, no, not marches because the Tinker was doomed up. But Venomance, the Spirit Bear, everything hitting them while they were just trying to single out this one hero.
Yep.
I have no idea what they were thinking. Overestimated just how tanky they were.
Yep.
They needed butterflies to do complete that mission.
Oh man. Well, they lose a little ground there. Alliance still has a lot of ground they have to make up to get things back to even, but it's certainly a nice start for them.
I think they're praising themselves lucky that Alliance didn't have the travels and the waves weren't pushed out, because their lineup could really push down for a start. They have the Spirit Bear, but they also just like the support on Alliance takes down towers really quick with the YYF, of course, with the fire on the tower, they goes down real quick.
Don't have buyback on the top. Murano will be back up here in just a minute. Razor has buyback. It looks like we just want to wait up. Well, it's 2 and 3 for sure. Now here comes YYF. Shivas and the Doom heads out to Loda. Bulldog caught from behind. Now YYF going to be Hex. Hex is on both sides. Big comes in. And there's going to be the ice path as well. Loda, even though Doom's still doing a decent job to keep himself alive, that score's going to end up cleaned up. The Fisher was there from the high ground to try to disrupt the fight. But Arcade left trapped because of it. He ends up dying as well. And IG trying to chase them down now. Loaded about half health. S4's going to be caught by the air aspect of the Panda. And Loda caught with the rock and gets off his Poison Nova. There's a refresh from Ferrari. Wants to have the split on fall if he needs it. And YYF now moving back into the fight. S4 doing what damage he can. And he has to bring down 2. Razor also down. S4 though caught from behind after the split for the second time after the refresher. The bear tossed him in the air. Now Bulldog going to try to make a run for it. Yes, they do have a stun. Rock comes off cooldown just in time. Chuan there to follow it up. Hiding the bear out wonderfully using the air aspect. Bulldog going to be hit with the arrow in the back afterwards. And that's going to be 4 for 2.
And the man of the hour, Ferrari, that micro on his final split is
so
just
good.
So good. His Earth was fighting one place, his Fire Spirit another, and then most importantly, his Storm Spirit was throwing up EGM. The Earthshaker did nothing that fight. He was just cycloned up in the air. Beautiful play by Ferrari, keeping his team in the game, because YYF actually went down and he just fought back, so that meant he couldn't be in the fight again. The Tinker from S4 though also fought back and died yet again. So Ferrari just coming in big for a team in this situation, but you can also see the coordination between them and how well they play.
Well, they're able to catch out one more that time. As Blink ahead. Pick off the Shaker, who's just kind of hanging off to the side. This tower helps very quickly. Aside with that ultimate, doing massive. Rack should be cleaned up really easily. Let's see how much they want to press this. They can really take the top and will. It's going to be 20 seconds until Bulldog's back up. It's going to be 30 until Tinker is back up. No buyback on either of those heroes. Actually, no, Bulldog does have buyback. Not going to expend it so far. So it's going to be 2 racks down. Lotus comes in, gets up the Poison Nova, but Hex down and cleaned up immediately. And there's a buyback from Lotus that time.
They deals a lot of damage. Poison Nova, they take down pretty fast considering how big of a ultimate that's and they're still losing a lot of damage.
Yep.
Had there been a Tinker available on this side, Ferrari.
Thinking about it, Dave. He has split if he needs to. Used his BKB. Let's go ahead and split as they try to reinitiate. Chuan's there to try and fight it out. EGM caught from behind him with the rock. The burn damage is there. YYF comes in with the Shivas and a BKB of his own. Shaker ends up going down. He's not going to have buyback available. And the rest of IT make this fight. But the Bulldogs now locked down and cleaned up. And this is most likely arcing towards a conclusion as Loda is doomed, hiding behind his own tier 4 as IG took him 53 minutes, but it looks like that massive gold lead is almost in the word go. Finally showing itself. It's going to be a minute before the Earthshaker and the Lone Druid are both back up. Bulldog again does have buyback. S4 trying to push the creeps off of this tier 2 bot and the last tier tower remaining for IG, and one of the only 2 towers remaining, both still standing in this bottom lane. And IG though doesn't look like they're ready to back off. Looks like they want to go ahead and clean this one up.
And I cannot stress this enough. Anyone who wants lessons in playing the Blue Master, watch this replay time and time again. follow the three spirits around by Ferrari because he's everywhere. He sees three heroes all at once, he controls three heroes all at once, and it's magnificent. It really is. He really wants to win.
It's one thing. Good record, which he does, but his sense of timing is great in terms of prioritizing his targets, in terms of understanding his game is cool down.
Follow the Tinker into Song of War. You realize follow him into this with the bomb and then again cycle the Tinker and get out of the fight from the inside and crack out the fight. Beautiful. Just beautiful. I'm at a loss for words for how well he's playing this game.
Well, what words you don't have. Result of the game and all available metrics certainly fulfilling that picture. We can see Alliance did put a chunk into the lead that that IG had built to this point, but really to say it's a critical mass is to use a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, and just clicking around on the IG heroes and their network or how much gold they're sitting on. You see their fate of the support is sitting on 3.4 thousand gold. Sai with an almost full inventory 4,000 gold. YYF with a full inventory 5,000 gold. 4,000 gold. He's got a face on this. And of course Ferrari finishing off his heart of the rest. So that's, what is that, 3 or 4 hearts on the lineup now?
Yeah, I mean it's, you can take a look. Yeah, that is 1, 2, 3. 3 so far plus Cheese and a BKB Shivas on YYF. So you want to talk about tanky? They've got it in every way that matters. And we actually see the courier being sent out. Yeah, there you go. Not carrying anything, so kind of irrelevant. Here we go. Alliance drops Ice Pack shot and died. Caught with the macro pyre down. He's going to BKB and try to go ahead and retreat out. EGM do a figure that kind of block any kind of engagement of IG trying to crack high ground. Zai will be forced that back after being caught with Root. So for the moment, Alliance able to delay the siege. Here we go again. IG rushing up down. And we see Ferrari has actually used Split, but not having the biggest effect this time. Left mostly by himself. He's going to be a dude on the load as YYF BKB's in. And Chuan is there to try and chase it back as well. Now using the Shiva's load and doing what damage you can. As well as his BKB. And Alliance just being kited all around. We can see the Aegis will once again be lost by the Ferrari. Reassembles and he's actually eating a lot of damage. He's been hex as well. And they're really doing a decent job holding this together. One down on each side so far. Chuan, though, finally helping to clean things up. As the official EGM going to drop quick, fast, and in a hurry. And Bulldog's next on the list. He's chopped down. Buyback from S4. GG Cole. So, IG and Alliance in a rematch of the semifinal matchup at ESL 1 Frankfurt just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm definitely bringing a better game than they did 2 weeks ago, but IG
just looking on point. IG able to secure the win and get their campaign here at the International 2014 off to a roaring start, besting last year's champions.